So I'm excited about sharing with you a little bit about the plan, what you can expect, and what's going to be happening in 2019. Having started over 23 companies, there are certain principles that you can find of exponential growth that regardless of where you go in the world, your business can always work if you understand those principles. And there's also principles of failure, that if you continue to apply them, you will fail in every industry that there's possibly been created. And I want to share with you a little bit about what makes New Horizon Agro so unique. How many of you were at NOCO Hemp Expo last year? Let me see your hands. 4 of you. Okay, very good. That was a fantastic expo. For those of you that are not currently growing hemp, you're not in the hemp industry, that was a fantastic event. It had 6,500 people that came from all over the world, and they had to move it to Denver because too many people came to the Budweiser Event Center. So that's going to be taking place at the end of March. And when I was there, I was walking around and I was looking at all the different farms and all the different genetics and all the different things that they're doing in the hemp industry. And the one value that constantly came across from the stage was this. This is about hemp as an industry, and we're all working together for the good of Colorado, for the good of the nation, and for the good of the world. There was a humanitarian feel, and that's going to change now that the Farm Bill has taken place. Because as you know, that Farm Bill opened it up, and you're going to find that the sharks have now smelled the blood in the water. And they're going to be out there, and they're going to say, you know what, this is great. I can finally make my millions in something green. And they're excited about that. And those are the people that hopefully we had a screening process. If you're all about greed, we screened you. We didn't let those people in. They went somewhere else to Denver. So we have only people that really care about hemp and about growing this next year. Now, over this 2 days, you're going to hear different speakers. Tomorrow at 1:30, going down to see an amazing extraction plant, consulting to different companies around the world. For the last 19 years, we've been coaching from anywhere between multi-billion-dollar companies down to one-person entrepreneurs in Africa. So we've had all kinds of experiences. And what we know is if you really love what you're doing, you should be able to make it work. And how many times have you sat across from somebody and you heard that they failed last year at something that was their passion? Your heart breaks for that person. And we believe that hemp is actually literally a solution to many farmers who have put their time, their blood, their sweat into the soil and did not reap the harvest that they deserve. So this is exciting because this is going to uplift people that some of them have worked for 10 years, 20 years, maybe for generations that never had the revenue that they should be getting, and this is the way to do that. My passion, I did not grow up as a farmer. We had a farm for fun. My dad got bored of living in the city. He bought an 88-acre farm. We had 3 barns. He had 3 tractors. We did things for fun. He got the tractor stuck in the lake. We had to get a crane. It was awesome. We had all these animals just for fun. We didn't do anything commercially. So I'm not coming from a farming perspective. I'm not coming from a hemp perspective either. I didn't grow up with marijuana in Georgia. If you did that, you just would get thrown in jail for the rest of your life. And I didn't grow up with hemp. What I grew up with is business. And so what I want to talk to you about today is what makes business sense with this plan you're not going to find with other companies. Because they're focusing only on one little tiny portion of the hemp industry. They're not saying we have a holistic solution. So I'm excited about being a part of New Agro and be a part of Artie's life, and I'm sharing this with you. I want to share with you how I got a passion for hemp. Have you ever gone maybe to a different state or another place in the world and you met someone and immediately your heart was burdened for something and you had nothing to do with it? That's what happened with me with hemp. I was sitting having a beer because you do business with beers in Colorado. Any of you that know that, I mean, you can't. If you don't like beer, you're in the wrong state. All of my meetings with my clients are over beers. So I'm sitting there talking with a businessman and he tells me he's getting involved in hemp. And the more he talked, the more burdened I got for the hemp industry. And I have this passion. I didn't go, I just went to my first hemp farm last week. It was the first time I went there. I was so excited I could barely sleep. I can't tell you why that happened. I just have a passion for it. So when somebody says they're a farmer, or they care about hemp, they care about the industry, I get excited because I have a passion and a burden to do this and to be with people that have a passion for this as well. That's what happened. It happened to me. I wasn't looking for it. I've done business consulting all over the world in 20 different countries. Never was involved with hemp. but being in Colorado, it seems to be the right place at the right time. And as long as people drink beer with me, I'll talk to them about their business in hemp. Now, my passion, therefore, is I was hired by New Horizon Agro as a consultant to serve the entire hemp industry. The things that Artie and I talk about, and he talks about with his team, is not for just the company. It is the question, in the next 10 years, what does the industry need? This is a forward-thinking organization. If you knew the amount of momentum that currently is with this organization, you would say this: I'm not going to go with anyone else. Because I will sit with Artie for a couple hours and he will have 50 phone calls from 50 different people from 50 different states saying, hey, I've got $50 million. Can you please take it from me and grow hemp in our state? It happens all the time. You will never forget these next 2 days, because some of you don't understand the strategic nature that you are sitting here and nobody else is, which means you're here at the cutting edge at the best time in U.S. history for this industry. So that's my passion. For those of you who haven't been farmers or haven't failed and haven't had the crops fail and you have to go to the bank and get another loan, you don't know the pain of some of the farmers in this room. I was just talking with a banker yesterday morning, and he said to me he had a farmer come in, needed another $200,000 because there was so much hail last year that he lost all of his crops and there was nothing he could do. And I could feel the pain in the branch manager's voice. You know why? Because he grew up on a farm. And I got emotional when I heard it, because I felt for that farmer. When you feel for the farmers, for what they've had to go through to just really, as the government and different agencies and China and all these things have happened against the farmers, this is the time to uplift the community. In the olden days, everybody was a farmer. And when one person suffered, everybody suffered. But now it's so isolated, and hemp's going to bring back the honor to the farming community that has never been in the past. And I'm excited about that. Next, I want to share with you about what New Horizon Agro is all about their business plan, because when you see it, you're going to say, this is what I want to do. And for those of you that are investors, you're going to say, I want to buy a farm. That's what you're going to want to say, because this plan has thought through every single possible risk that you could imagine. And we're going to look through what some of those risks are. Because you can't go out from here and say, hey, everybody's going to be a millionaire. That's not what we're saying. We're saying there still can be hail, but there can be insurance. So let's take a look at that. I love this quote. Henry Ford says, why use up the forests which were centuries in the making, in the mines which require ages to lay down, if we can get the equivalent of forest and mineral products in the annual growth of the hemp fields?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk to you about things that somehow 100 years ago the wisest people in our country knew about, and somehow those brilliant ideas got lost along the way. Okay, here's what we're going to look at. This is the old model of farming before the Farm Bill got passed. Here's what your responsibility was. If you want to decide to go out to buy a farm tomorrow, here's your responsibility. You have 100% risk and reward. You have to, number one, have the soil, so you have to have the land. Then you got to get equipment, right? Because you're probably not going to take two jackasses and a plow and go out there and plow it. It's not, at least in the 21st century. Some of you are still using horses. We can talk afterwards. John Deere is good with that. And you're going to plow up that soil. Then you're going to plant, fertilize, water, harvest. Then you got to take that somewhere. You got to transport it. You got to pay for transportation. Then instead of the word extract, you got to either send it to a co-op, or you got to package it. You got to take it to the farmer's market. You've got to get rid of that. And then finally you make the sale, and that's when you get paid. It was 100% your responsibility with the soil. From soil to sale, you took all of the risk. And what happens if all of a sudden China imported, I don't know, millions of bushels, tons of corn, and you're a corn grower? And all of a sudden they undercut the whole market. Everything you just did, you now lost, because you thought you were going to get paid this much, and now you got paid this much. It was all on you. Well, here's the different model that we're suggesting to you today, and that is to remove the risk from you as the farmer and to spread that over the NHA responsibility. So what you're responsible now for in this model is that you're still responsible for the soil, and to plow it, and then to water it. The rest of that is all the responsibility of New Horizon Agro, because they already have all the partnerships for everything that you need to do to plant hemp. Because what you don't want to do is say, hey, I'm going to go out there and now I've got to go find seeds. And when you hear about some of the speakers that are going to come over the next 2 days about the genetics of the importance of seeds, some of you are going to have glassy eyes. You know what I'm talking about? The deer in the headlight? Because it's so technical. Bottom line, you have bad seed, you get bad oil. That's just it. If you have great genetics, you're going to have a great crop, you make more money. That's all it is. You can't go to Home Depot, not yet, and get a bag of hemp seed. You can't do it. It's just not there. You got to find the right genetics, and that's really important. So here's what happens, is all the blue is the responsibility of New Horizon Agro. They're going to come in and plant it. They have planters. They have the correct fertilizer. And when you hear about some of the fertilization techniques, it's going to blow your mind, because sometimes it's not about adding 5% increase on your yield. Sometimes they have even proven that it's double-fold. You can take your acre, and instead of getting this much pounds, you'll double the poundage based upon the fertilization. Then they're going to come and harvest, because as you know, you can't just take a combine and come in and harvest everything. You won't get the same amount of quality. And then they're going to transport it, extract it, because you're going to see that extraction plant tomorrow, and then make the sale from the biomass to the oil and what the quality of the oil is. For those of you that have been talking to extractors, you know this, that people are showing up with hemp biomass, and the amount of THC is not 0.03, it's 5%. And when you do that, the extractor is saying, but you told me this what it was. And what's happening is they're not testing their plants properly. So they're thinking they're going to make this much amount of money. They didn't start with the right genetics. They harvested it incorrectly. They used the wrong equipment, and then they showed up. So it's happening every single day. People that are in the market for hemp are losing money. They're losing money. So don't try to wing it. This is not a crop you want to wing. You want to go with people that are experts in the industry to ensure that you can do this. Now, when I talked to Artie about, how does this really work, I was thinking from an investor's perspective. And if you go and you look at an investment contract and you say, listen, I want to invest $1 million. Most people are not going to say to you, oh, by the way, we're going to give you a percentage of the leveraged amount at the percentages that currently we're going to be giving to you. The reason why that is we believe there's so much money in hemp and around the world that everyone can become wealthy in the industry without attracting greedy people. That's just the bottom line. If you came here to make millions, you're not going to want to be with this group. Because if that's your sole reason for hemp, you're not going to fit into the value system that New Horizon Agro is all about. This is about literally finding other people that are like family, that want to grow together, become wealthy together because they care about farming and they care about the community. And that's what they're all about. So when I said to him, I said, I need you to explain to me why a farmer would want to get involved in this. He gave me the percentages. And I said to Artie, have you been smoking green stuff too? Because as a business consultant, I said, you can't give that much profit away and that much revenue away. And he's like, why not? There's plenty to go around. Based on this model, therefore, what's going to happen is 25% of the gross revenue per acre goes back to you as a farmer. If you do not have a farm today, I feel sorry for you, because this is the best time to be a farmer. There's never been a time like this that the percentages of profit are possible. Number two, 25% of the gross revenue goes back to New Horizon Agro, because they're going to have to hire even a larger staff to go around to all the farms to ensure they're there. And they already have the team standing by. They've already made all the partnerships. This isn't something that they're talking about. They're ready to do it for this next season. And lastly, 50% of the gross revenue goes to the extractor, because they have all the work from getting all of the biomass and all that process and all their staff. So 50% goes to them. Nobody's going to get screwed with this opportunity. Everyone wins. So if you're saying, hey, I want to do corn next year, that's great. But then you got to actually have a global, you still got people importing. And we're going to talk about why this is the best time to do hemp, because the importation is going to change everything. Now, you have had people say, listen, there's 15,000 different uses for hemp, right? You've heard that. You've heard 25,000. I found this one. They have now found 50,000 different ways how to use hemp in the marketplace. So some of you are saying, but David, I don't really care about the bio oil. Well, hang on. The bio oil can help people. We've already seen this with what? Just name it. What is bio oil? How can it help people?
Epilepsy.
Thank you. Epilepsy. What else?
Inflammation.
What else?
Parkinson's.
What else? Multiple sclerosis. What else? Insomnia. Right? People that hello? Have you guys done any research about hemp oil? Hemp oil has like how many different uses? I know people today that have told me since they've got on bio oil, a CBD oil, it's changed everything in their life. You're going to revolutionize people's lives. All right. So the question is, what are you most passionate about? Because here's what we know is the other partners that we already have from NHA, we're already talking about, what is it? Hemp Adobe. We're already talking about this. There's other products that we're going to be doing with hemp that's outside of oil. And some of you may say, listen, I want to help solve the homelessness crisis in the world. That's going to be solved by hemp. So wherever your passion is, hemp has a way to find that solution. Thomas Jefferson, you probably read this one already. Hemp is a first necessity to the wealth and protection of the country. So what makes hemp different in the marketplace than other industries? Here's the number one way. We have been importing hemp because the Farm Bill was not signed. There was $60 million imported in a year that they're bringing hemp over from China and other countries. Because, why? What's the percentage? Look at this. 2018, 70% was used for CBD oil. There's a huge shortage in America for hemp, and now all of a sudden you're allowed to legally grow it? That means that all the extractors are full because everybody's saying, finally, we can grow it, and they're looking for partners. And guess what? They already have the partners for the extractors to already give your crops to them for the oil. This is the best time in your life to be a farmer. It's the best time. So remember, last year, 25,000 acres was planted across the entire U.S. That's why they had to import $60 million worth of hemp from other countries. That's all going to change. We're not going to need to import, hopefully. In South Carolina alone, they've now approved 40 different farms for hemp. They just approved it in South Carolina alone. We're not going to need hemp imported by the end of next year. So let's look at what you could expect if you were going to actually have your crops rented for corn or sugar beets or anything else you want to plant. 2017, look at that number, $143. So if all of a sudden somebody came to your farm and you got 10 acres, and they say, hey, I want to rent your 10 acres, you would get for the year, how much? $1,430 for the entire year. Great, exciting times to be a farmer for that amount of money. Right? You're going to spend more than that in water and taxes. So here's how NHA has thought about this all the way through that there's no possibility for this to be a lose for you. The first one is they have a forward contracting program. That is that they're literally going into business with you as a farmer. This is not a transactional approach. They're not looking just to pay you and say good luck. They're walking with you from the time that you start, from the time that you're wealthy with us. So the first thing they're going to do is they're not going to give you $143 per acre for the year. They're going to give you $250 for the year, and that's going to be up front. That means it's going to cover what you cost for labor. It's going to cover that for your land, for plowing, and for water, all that stuff. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a crop share of 25% of the gross revenue of that crop after it's been sold for biomass and after it's been taken to oil. Now all you're going to do is you're going to subtract that's $250 at the end. They're going to take that off. You're never going to see that. It just comes off your 25%. So if you've got 100 acres and you got paid $25,000 for renting those 1,000 acres, that just comes off your 25% at the end. There's no risk to you as the farmer. As long as you have good soil, and we test the soil and it's got good soil, as long as you got the water rights, as long as you got something to plow it under with, it's going to be a great year for you as a farmer. So, here's what we got. What makes this company unique? Right? Have you ever heard of those commercials like, if you come to our hotel for an overnight and you have to listen to this 4-hour You've never heard this? Because of timeshares. Yeah, thank you. You'll say, this is not a timeshare. You could choose to walk away and plant corn and go broke. But this is an opportunity for you not to do that. And here's what makes them unique. Number one, you're not going to find other people that have a forward contracting program like this. Because they're not thinking about protecting the farmers. They're thinking about how they can make the most money from the farmers. That's the first thing. Number two, the bioscience and genetics is we're starting with excellent seeds from the people that know what they're doing with genetics. For those of you like me that failed science, failed chemistry, anybody else? Okay, I'm the only one. Okay, I don't want to know about the genetics about the farming seeds. I don't want to go and learn about the intricacies. I just want to know if you plant my seed on my soil, it's going to grow and I'm going to get money from it. That's what I want to know. I don't want to go learn five-day trip somewhere to go learn about the genetics of hemp. I want to know you're giving me good seed. And they already have that there. Next, the water management. This is really important. They have different techniques with water, how to ensure that you don't use maximum water, especially because you have good genetics. It doesn't need as much water as other plants, so it decreases your risk and the amount of cost of what you're doing. They also have unique fertilization techniques. In fact, I already just touched on that. They have different partners with different fertilizers that can maximize your crop per acre, and that's important. Lastly, this next one is really interesting. Drone technology. How many of you have a personal drone? Anybody? One? Okay, 5 of you. Okay, good. Has it ever made you money?
No.
Okay, typically drones don't make you money. What they're working on right now is amazing technology that the drone literally flies over the fields and can separate the differences of the plants between the male and female to ensure you can pinpoint the male plants, rip them out to have a better, higher yielding crop. It's unbelievable. We've got a lot of other secrets, but that's yet to come. They have cutting-edge harvesting equipment that can harvest 60 acres a day with one machine. Right now, you will not find that because it's still being developed. It's about being ready to be produced. It's incredible technology. You can't go down to the John Deere factory and buy one. This is stuff that's having to be developed right now. This is cutting-edge information. You're not going to hear this from other people. You know why? They don't have the partnerships that they've had right now in the U.S. Now, the sharks are in the water. They're everywhere. You're going to go, if you go to the NOCO Hemp Expo, I guarantee you will not find it's the same feel as the last one. And the reason why is because there's people out there that want to make a lot of money really quick, and they're just trying to get the money out of the hemp industry. And every once in a while, you run into somebody that doesn't care about hemp, doesn't care about anybody else but themselves. And I actually had, this morning, one of those conversations. I wanted to share it with you. I called up one of the oldest extractors here in Colorado, and I got the co-founder on the phone. And I was ready for a great conversation. I'm a kind of a no walls guy, kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. I want to know where you're at, and you know where I'm at. I don't hold back anything. So I was excited to talk to this extractor because I was thinking, I'm going to be meeting a whole bunch of different people, and we should all bond together. Let's create a unified approach to hemp. And that really wasn't the value system of this gentleman. So I said to him, listen, I want to hear a little bit about your extraction plan. And he told me all about it. And one of the things you'll find about this market is everyone feels like they're the only one who's ever done what they're doing in hemp. It's really, really funny. Have you heard this? It's like, oh no, I've developed the only seed in the world that can sprout 2 heads. Or I'm the only extractor in the world that doesn't use isolates or doesn't use this, and everybody's coming out with the only one. That's because it's the only one in the world. We haven't been doing this for 100 years. Everyone. If you have a farm, you got 12.5 acres, you're probably the only one in the world that has 12.5 acres right now. So I'm excited about hearing all these new things. And I'm talking to this guy, and he says, well, we don't almost use anyone in Colorado because they don't know what they're doing. And I said, really? I said, well, how does that work? He says, oh no, we're only using a certain farm in Oregon. And I said, why are you doing that? You're here in Colorado. Why aren't you supporting Colorado? And he said, oh, no. The farmers here are idiots. I said, okay. Can you share with me why they're idiots? Oh, no, they use horrible genetics. I said, well, what does that mean? I'm acting like I've never heard of anything. What does that mean? Oh, no. In Oregon, I can get the plants at, below 0.04%, and I can get between, 12 and 16% on the CBD oil concept, and they will ship it here, and we're making a fortune, and we just don't want to work with Colorado farmers that don't do good genetics. They can't seem to figure it out. And I said, well, so I am a very big partnership person. You might not know this, but I actually care about you personally. If you couldn't figure that out, I've not been good as a communicator. I want everyone in here to win this year in business with your farm. That's my heart. And so I said to this person, I said, why don't you help Colorado farmers to get the information? Well, why don't you come and train them? Why won't you bring the seed that you're working with this farm in Oregon? Do you know what he said to me? Oh no, the Oregon farmer doesn't want to help anyone in Colorado. And I said, well, why won't you? Oh, no. We don't want to help anybody in Colorado. I said, you're in Colorado. You're one of the oldest extractors, and you're telling me you're getting all of your business in Oregon, but you won't come in and you won't share your genetics with your seed, and you won't come train the farmers. And he said, that's exactly right. We'll never do that. That's the kind of person that we are so thankful is not here today. Because we're looking for people who love Colorado, that love America, that love about being a part of a partnership that everybody wins. And if you're that kind of a person, you've come to the right place today. And that's the number one reason why you want to, by the end of tomorrow night, when you're done going down to Colorado Springs, I need you to make up your mind that this is the year that you want to form the right partnerships. That's not just because it's ludicrous, but because these are going to be your best friends for the rest of your life. Because that's what makes this company unique. The moment you meet Artie or any of the team, you're going to realize they are partnership based. They are looking for you as farmers, investors, as people that want to get involved and you want to market this, that they're looking for partners. They're not looking for transactional relationships. And number two, they're holistic in nature. They're saying to you, as a farmer, as an investor, how can we work together in every area from soil to sale that everyone is a winner? And you're not going to find that with anyone else. There's only 3 times in my life that I've ever been involved in something that I knew was groundbreaking that had a national and global impact. There was one time I was involved in a little book that broke every record in publishing history. I was one time involved in a country called Namibia over in Africa when I was living there for 7 years. And it created a whole national revival, meaning that the government, education, business, and nonprofits, for the first time in their history, worked together and they removed poverty throughout the entire country. It was incredible. And I want to share with you a little bit about how that happened, because some of you don't recognize the importance of you being here today, because you don't know what's about to take place, not just in our nation, but in our state. I done a 3-week project. Somebody gave me $10,000 and said, David, I want you to go around to the poorest places in South Africa. I want you to do a poverty documentary. Now, if you were born in America, you've never experienced poverty. We don't have poverty in America. We have poor people, we don't have poverty. Poverty means that there's no possibility ever for you to get a job. Ever. I know people today who have 3 jobs. We do not have poverty. It's a system in which 80% of the people are unemployed because they can't get jobs, and it's horrible. So I took the $10,000. I went and got the best TV film crew in the country. I hired them. We went all over South Africa, and at the end of the 3rd week, I was literally having an emotional breakdown. I was weeping with the trauma of people that did not have enough food. They were starving to death, and I met them in person. There was no food. There was nothing to eat. There was nothing to do. They had no hope. And I didn't know what to do. And one day I was out in the back and I was raking the leaves, and the rake fell. And right at that moment I had an epiphany that was the length of the garden. And then I said, well, that's the length of the garden. And then I took half of the rake and I said, that's the half of a garden, the width of it. And then the depth was the depth of a shovel. And what happened over the next 3 years is one of the highlights of my life. Because the first year, I took that little concept of having 12 little seedlings, and I planted 150 gardens in the different townships, the squatter camps where the poor people were, and we planted them together. I killed the first 130 because I didn't know that God had made chickens with the highest nitrate in their crap. And so I killed the first 130. Great farmer, right? Yeah. Those of you know, yeah, you don't use chicken crap. Okay, good. So the next year, we planted 1,200 gardens, and 55 Americans flew from here to join me in South Africa, and we planted 1,200 gardens. And you know what happened on the third year? 2,500 Americans flew to Southern Africa. We planted over 500,000 gardens across 7 countries. We made over $30 million in 36 months doing gardening for one reason. It was the right time, the right place. We were the right people. My friends, you will not have another opportunity in your life that's bigger than partnering with New Horizon Agro. My encouragement and challenge to you is don't let this go by, because you will regret it for the rest of your life. My name is David Wilkinson. I look forward to meeting with some of you that are looking for executive coaching, business consulting, because what are you going to do when you become a millionaire? You're going to start a business on the side that has nothing to do with farming, and we've talked about these things as well. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you tonight.